The Chicago Bears entered this offseason with a wound. 25 fourth-quarter points against Green Bay in the wild card round. A 31-27 win. Then a heartbreak overtime loss to the Rams in the divisional round. Ben Johnson finished his first year as head coach with a playoff win and a clear list of needs. Then he and Ryan Poles went to work. What they built next has been hiding in plain sight. Most of the league missed it. One sixth-round rookie broke the team's internal scouting scale. Several names you have not heard yet are about to define this defense. The story starts now. Start with the offense. Caleb Williams in year 2 of this scheme. Rome Odunze taking the next step at receiver. Luther Burden III sliding into the slot. Colston Loveland and Cole Kmet stretching the seams. Then add a first-round safety with film grades that read like a defensive coordinator's notebook. Then add a free agent contract worth $40 million. A signing that handed Dennis Allen the chess piece his secondary has needed for 3 years. The name is coming. The scheme implications are bigger than the price tag. And one move, on day 3, jumped the entire draft strategy on its head. The defense is where the wild numbers live. 3 new contributors with elite relative athletic scores. A trade up in the 6th round to grab a player most teams passed on 3 times. A linebacker overhaul that replaced a Pro Bowler with a $30 million signing. The NFC North is about to look very different. The Lions just bled coordinators. The Packers got beat at home by Chicago. The Vikings are still figuring out their quarterback. One team in this division stopped guessing this offseason. One team started buying measurables. And one bold prediction at the end of this breakdown is going to make every Detroit fan in the comments lose their mind. But before we get into that, hit that like and subscribe button for more Bears and all the NFL content. Can we get 500 likes on this video? The Bears needed a safety. Jaquan Brisker walked in free agency. Kevin Byard walked in free agency. 2 starters gone in one cycle. The secondary that anchored a wild card win needed a brand new identity. Pick number 25 was the answer. Dylan Thieneman out of Oregon. 3-year starter, 3-year communicator, 3-year sideline to sideline range player. Ben Johnson said it on draft night. The film stood out, but the football intelligence stood out more. This is a safety who plays the position like a defensive coordinator on the field. The numbers tell the first part of the story. Over 40 career starts. A nose for the football that produced takeaways at Purdue and at Oregon. Sub 4.5 speed that holds up in single high looks. 6 feet of frame to take on tight ends in the slot. Pair that with the run support physicality Dennis Allen demands. The Bears suddenly have a player who solves 3 different problems at once. Range, communication, versatility. Pick 25 was a top 15 player on the Bears board. He was sitting there. Ryan Poles did not blink. The bigger story is what Dylan Thieneman unlocks for everyone else. Kyler Gordon stays in the slot, one of the highest graded nickel corners in football. Jalen Johnson stays at outside corner with the matchup flexibility he was built for. Tyreek Stevenson plays press across from him. The safety pairing alongside Thieneman becomes the question this video answers later. The move that filled it cost more than any other defensive contract Chicago handed out this offseason. The pieces around the new rookie are the reason this pick matters. Now stack the offensive haul on top of it. Day 2 of this draft was an offensive line and skill position raid nobody saw coming. 3 picks on day 2, 3 different positions. 1 single mission: protect Caleb Williams and feed him weapons. Pick 57 was Logan Jones out of Iowa, a 51-game starter at center. Perfect run blocking grade. 0 sacks allowed in his final season. Pick 69 was Sam Roush out of Stanford, the rare inline tight end who can chip a defensive end and still run a seam. Pick 89 was Xavier Thomas out of LSU, the joystick gadget receiver with time, speed, and return value. 3 picks, 3 answers. Look at what each piece solves. Logan Jones gives the Bears a long-term replacement for Garrett Bradbury. Bradbury is on a 1-year deal and turning 30. The Iowa product can compete for snaps as a rookie behind Joe Thuney and Jonah Jackson. Sam Roush lets Ben Johnson run 12 and 13 personnel without losing a blocker. The Bears finished 6th in 13 personnel last year. They are about to climb the rankings. Xavier Thomas opens up jet sweeps, bubble screens, and shovel passes. 3 positions, 3 needs, 3 solutions, and 3 picks. Then add the UDFA twist. Caden Barnett, out of Wyoming, signed for $277,500 guaranteed. The biggest UDFA deal Chicago handed out this offseason. They call him the Vanilla Gorilla. He plays like an offensive lineman built in a powerlifting gym. 21 career starts at guard and tackle, 6'5", 320 pounds. The math here is simple. Joe Thuney turns 34 in December. The Bears just bought themselves a future starter at guard for less than a coffee budget. The offense is loaded. The defense is where the real story lives. One stat about this rookie class is going to change the way you see this team. Here's the stat nobody is putting in the headline. The Chicago Bears just assembled the most athletic defensive haul of any team in the 2026 cycle. Every single new contributor on defense graded elite by relative athletic score. Not good, not above average, elite. Top 10th percentile across the entire defensive position group dating back to 1987. Ryan Poles stopped guessing. He stopped projecting. He started buying measurables. And the league missed it because the headlines went to the Eagles and the Cowboys. Walk the names down. Dylan Thieneman at safety. Sub 4.5 speed and elite range. Jordan Vandenberg at defensive tackle. A perfect 10 out of 10 RAS at 6'3" and 310 pounds. Elite bench. Elite vertical. Elite 40. Jaden Loving at defensive tackle. A 9.93 yards that would have led 3 categories at the combine. Malik Muhammad at corner from Texas. 6 feet of frame. Long arms. Sub 4.5 speed. A press corner who plays bigger than the listed weight of 190. 4 elite athletes added to 1 defense in 1 offseason. Stack that against what Dennis Allen is asking this defense to do. He wants single high safeties who can erase tight ends. He wants interior defensive linemen who can collapse the pocket on 3rd and 7. He wants press corners who do not need help over the top. The Bears just gave him every one of those archetypes in measurables. The catch is that one of those names is the steal of the entire 2026 draft. The Bears coaching staff is publicly saying so. The internal scouting scale broke when this player tested. Jeremy Fowler reported it. The full story comes next. The hook from the trailer pays off here. Jordan Vandenberg at pick 213. Ryan Poles traded both 7th round picks to jump up and grab him in round 6. Jeremy Fowler of ESPN reported what the front office told him. Several of his testing numbers hit the highest mark on the Bears' internal scouting scale. The team had plans for him beyond a typical 6th round flyer. They believe he was one of the most gifted defensive tackles in the entire draft. The rookie has a story that makes the pick even sweeter. Jordan Vandenberg moved from South Africa to the United States at age 10. His parents did not let him play football until he was a sophomore in high school. He swam at a national record level. He played rugby. He played cricket. He competed in bodybuilding. Then he buried himself at Penn State on the depth chart. Transferred to Georgia Tech. Became a first-team All-ACC defensive tackle in 2025 with 10 tackles for loss. The perfect 10 RAS at 6'3" and 310 pounds is the headline. The combined stops and pressures matching 2nd and 3rd round graded defensive tackles is the production receipt. Then add Jaden Loving as the UDFA companion piece. Wake Forest, 6'2", 317 pounds, a 9.93 RAS, $245,000 in guarantees, a $20,000 signing bonus, the largest UDFA deal Chicago handed out at defensive tackle, a 4.82 40-yard dash that would have tied for third fastest at the combine, a 7.153 cone that would have been the fastest. Dane Brugler of The Athletic flagged him as a player who can make the 53-man roster. The Bears' defensive line is suddenly the deepest position group on the roster. The NFC North has to answer all of it. The division does not get any easier. The NFC North sent 3 teams to the playoffs last year. The Bears won it on a wild card comeback. Detroit, Green Bay, and Minnesota all took losses. Now look at what each rival did this offseason. The Lions bled offensive coordinators. Their defensive line aged a year without reinforcements. The Packers just lost the wild card at home. Their defense surrendered 25 fourth quarter points to Caleb Williams. The Vikings are still figuring out the J.J. McCarthy development curve. Walk the matchups one by one. Detroit lost the play calling continuity that powered their offense. Their defensive coordinator situation is unsettled. The roster is still talented. The staff turnover is the kind of thing that costs 2 regular season games. Green Bay returns the same core that allowed 18 unanswered points to Chicago in January. Brandon McManus missed 2 field goals in that wild card. Jordan Love went 4 touchdowns and still lost. The structural issues that cost them January are not fixed in April. Minnesota is in a transition year with a quarterback who started 1 game in the regular season. Now stack Chicago against all 3. Ben Johnson in year 2 of the offense. Caleb Williams with a year of starting reps in this scheme. A defensive line rebuild that added 4 new athletes. A secondary rebuild headlined by Dylan Thieneman. A free agent piece that cost more than any defensive contract Chicago handed out in 2026. The Bears are the only team in this division that added elite measurables at every level of the defense. The gap is real. The piece that closes the secondary equation costs $40 million. Once you hear the name, the whole picture clicks. Here's the move from the trailer. The signing that flipped the defensive identity. Kobe Bryant out of Seattle. 3-year contract, $40 million in total value. The biggest defensive contract Chicago handed out this offseason. The former Seahawk is a Super Bowl champion. Man coverage skills Dennis Allen has been chasing for 3 years. Last season, he started 15 regular season games, 66 tackles, 4 interceptions, a forced fumble. In Seattle's 3 playoff games, he added 10 more tackles. He is the chess piece. He is the answer. Pair him with Dylan Thieneman at the other safety spot. Pair both of them with Kyler Gordon in the slot. Jaylon Johnson outside. Tyreek Stevenson opposite. The Bears now have 5 defensive backs who can swap, rotate, and disguise. Dennis Allen spent his time with the Saints calling the same kind of looks. He needed players who could execute it, he just got them. Then add Devin Bush at linebacker on a 3-year, $30 million deal, alongside T.J. Edwards and DeMarco Jackson. The linebacker speed went from a question mark to a strength. The picture comes together when you stack the contracts and measurables. Kobe Bryant at $40 million, Devin Bush at $30 million, Cam Lewis for nickel flexibility, Kentavious Street, Neville Gallimore, James Lynch, defensive line depth on 3 different 1-year deals, then the draft additions on top. Jeremy Fowler reported the Bears felt the entire defensive overhaul gave them the most upside they have had in a decade. The roster math agrees. Dennis Allen got the chess pieces. Ryan Poles found the funding. Ben Johnson signed off on every move. The only question left is what this team does with all of it in 2026. That prediction is where this breakdown lands. Time for the prediction. The Chicago Bears finish 2026 with 12 wins minimum. They repeat as NFC North champions. They lock in a top 3 seed in the NFC playoffs. The defense climbs into the top 10 in DVOA for the first time since the Khalil Mack era. Caleb Williams finishes top 8 in MVP voting. The Bears reach the NFC Championship game. Drop a Y in the comments if you are riding with that prediction. Drop an N if you think it is too rich. Tell me below which game on the schedule you have circled the moment it drops. The bones are all here. A head coach with a playoff win in year 1. A quarterback in year 2 of the scheme. The most fourth quarter comebacks in NFL history by a player under 25. A defensive overhaul that gave Dennis Allen every archetype he wants. An offensive line with Joe Thuney, Jonah Jackson, Darnell Wright. A center competition between Garrett Bradbury and Logan Jones. A skill position group of Rome Odunze, Luther Burden III, Khalif Raymond, Colston Loveland, Cole Kmet, and Sam Roush. The pieces fit. The math works. Detroit has staff turnover. Green Bay has structural defensive issues that did not get fixed. Minnesota is in a transition year. Chicago is the most complete roster in the division. The only team that added elite athletes at every layer of the defense. Subscribe before the schedule release video drops next week. The moment we see the slate of opponents, this prediction either gets bolder or it gets reshaped. The Bears just built something most fans have not seen yet. Year 1 was the playoff appetizer. Year 2 is the run. Ben Johnson is not done shopping. The next move could be the one that locks the NFC North for the rest of the decade.